this is going to be my deconversion story. Tried filming it once already, and I wasn't satisfied with how it turned out, so I'm filming it again. Um, um, well, I'm not sure if this can really classify as a deconversion story. I don't think I was ever really religious. I've never really... I've always been interested in religion, mostly just studying it and whatnot, but I never, when I was young, I was never indoctrinated, as people say. My parents are Christian, but they never really forced me to go to church, except for maybe like 2 or 3 times growing up. But I do remember when I was a kid, I always thought the Holy Spirit was Santa Claus. Just little kid logic. I thought, the spirit of Christmas, Holy Spirit must be the same thing. So, well, when I was about 8, my brother told me that Santa Claus was dead. He refused to correct himself because he said there really was a person named St. Nicholas, and he is no longer alive today. He died several years ago. And my mom was very upset at him for telling me this. I don't remember it being a big emotional thing for me. But my mom continued to do the whole Santa thing, and I could tell it was in her handwriting, and I could tell the wrapping paper was the same as the other presents that she had given me. And so, I was pretty sure there wasn't a Santa Claus. When I was 10, I wrote a letter to Santa Claus, and I got this form letter back from the post office. It was really lame, really cheesy, and I was like, okay, there's no Santa Claus. I think after that, I pretty much just assumed there was no God, too. I don't think I ever actually questioned the existence of God, but I just figured there wasn't. I've always been into science when I was a kid, and so, I'd known about, evolution and the Big Bang and, all that stuff, so life wasn't really a mystery to me. I understood it. So I think I just sort of assumed that there was no God, and I'm not sure when I started calling myself an atheist, but I know that in high school I considered myself an atheist. However, toward the end of high school, I think I sort of became somewhat agnostic. I did actually start questioning the existence of not so much God, but sort of a like a metaphysical nature of the universe. And I started getting into Wicca, which I still really like. I'm very fascinated by Wicca and paganism and anything of a magical nature. That's magic with a K, not with a C. Although when I was much younger, I did like magic with a C, or illusion. So I got into Wicca, and I think I pretty much went about it in sort of a like an experimental kind of sense, where I would cast a spell, and I would say, well, okay, well, if this happens, then there's something to this. I'm not gonna. It doesn't prove that that it's being done by God, but and in fact, I don't think I ever really believed in gods, like like people believe in. I think when I was doing Wicca, I considered the whole God goddess thing as like a sort of a metaphor for something that we can't quite comprehend. And so I actually got some pretty interesting results from these spells. Obviously, nothing that would be considered supernatural. I don't consider anything supernatural. I think if something is supernatural, then it's unnatural, and therefore how can something unnatural exist? So I think that there are things that are natural, but we don't know how to explain it yet. And I'm not as skeptical as most atheists. Well, I consider myself skeptical to a degree, but I don't accept the mainstream view of reality necessarily. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of stuff that makes more sense to me than other things. But I'm not going to say that aliens haven't visited Earth just because that's the common perception, is that aliens haven't visited Earth. I'm not going to say that they have, because I don't know that. In fact, I think there's a lot of evidence that shows that people who believe that aliens have visited are simply mistaken. I think there's a lot of evidence that shows that. It doesn't mean that aliens haven't visited Earth. I'm not gonna say one way or the other. To me, aliens are far more plausible than any sort of a mythical god type being. Anyway, for a while, I started calling what I believed in, I started calling it God, even though it didn't really fit my idea of what God is. I think that the word God sort of describes something that demands to be worshipped, or something that deserves to be worshipped. Anything that demands to be worshipped, like the Christian God, I think is obviously full of crap. However, anything that's I don't even think that anything deserves to be worshipped. There doesn't seem to be any reason why anything should be worshipped. Worship, to me, seems like a pointless endeavor. I don't think anything comes of it. So, sometimes I flop back and forth on the whole God issue, but I believe in something that science hasn't quite figured out yet. Um, but I'm pretty sure it's not God. Actually, I know it's not